Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Tanay from Junior Programmer, and this time around I'm bringing you a new project. This is the zoom project where you could zoom onto a point in picture just as you can see. So we'll create this into HTML file using JavaScript and CSS so that it could be used on web and you could use it in your websites, in your web projects or any other things. So let's move on to the code. So in this video I have used the CSS and JavaScript into the same HTML file because the file is too small. The CSS is small and JavaScript is small, so I did it all in one file so that I could save time and just could save a lot of files and all these kind of things. So you could do it in different files, but I would just do it in one file because these are small for now. So let's get going. First of all, we'll start off with the HTML, the tags, simple tags, a doc type, head, HTML and so on. Then I've linked a style sheet. This is not a style sheet on my desktop. This is the style sheet that I've linked with the CDN. So this is just like JavaScript and all those things that we'll use in the project. So then some just like tags, meta tags and all this kind of things you'll just need to do. Then moving on, style tag, we'll define the CSS. So let's start. So first of all, we'll define the body and the HTML. For the body and the HTML tags, as you could see, I'm just simply defining some attributes for styling, just some basic attributes, for example height, width, display, justify content, align items. So as you can see, I'm just doing it so that I could center the image, center the body and the HTML within the page. The image is in the center always, specifying a height, a width, a minimum width, and then a background color for the page. So moving on, and now for the container. So this is for the divs which have the class as container. So again, just some simple attributes, some basic attributes, nothing too complicated in this one, just like width, height, background color, align items, display, justify content. So again, just keeping it all into the center using the styling and defining a small border of like almost white color. Then moving on to the lens. So hash lens is for the HTML tags which have the ID as lens. So you see the difference. Hash is for when we are referring to the ID of a particular tag, and dot is for when we are referring to the class of a particular tag. So this is how we could differentiate. So within the lens, where the ID is lens, we have the position, border radius, and some other things like overflow. If it is overflow, we'll hide that part which is overflowing, shadow and all these kind of things. Then the zoom, for the ID zoom and the image, we have defined a width and height. This is for the image, whatever the height will be for it, width and image. And now moving on to the media. So media is like, you could say the images or text, the media kind of things, as we can see from name, just simple styling. Close the style tag since the styling is done, and move on to the body tag. So within the body, we'll define the HTML, the div, the class, and another div with ID zoom. Just put in an image because that is all that we'll be requiring. Closing the div and moving on to the script. So within the script is where you write the JavaScript if you do it in the HTML file. So first of all, I'll define a lens size. This is the size of the lens, and then create a function called magnified which will take in the ID and the zoom. So first of all, I'll get the element by ID. So this is used to access the tags within the HTML, this particular function. Create a copy of it and create a new element called lens. So this is like, it will not be present from the start. When the page will load, then will the lens will be formed, and then we could then zoom in. So after that, just setting some attributes, you could say like initializing the new document, like width, the height, appending child, get the bounding box, and setting the zoom and so on. Again, then after that, copy the style and width, multiply by the zoom. So this is like get the zoom, get the picture zoomed into the lens. So this is why we're using this. Then we'll add the event listener within the same function. So the event listener is another function within that, so it will sense the movement of the mouse, like where it is moving. Just some simple function, for example prevent default and stop propagation. So these are just to avoid some all kind of errors. Then we'll create another function, get cursor position, to get the position of the cursor to only zoom that part of the image. So we'll create it afterwards. So into the event listener, we're simply just changing the position and of x and y, and getting the position, getting where the mouse is, and then specifying the zoom accordingly using these lines of code, the left, the right, and so on. So it's like on the four directions. Then we'll get cursor position, position, the one we have defined before, we've used before. So let's define this function. So this will just be used to get the position of the cursor, the mouse, where it is moving. So as you can see, these are the piece of code that we'll be using x and y into the window, where on the particular pixel or location is the mouse on, and how is it moving, because as the mouse is moving, the position will change. So we'll just have to get the position as soon as the mouse position shifts, so we could zoom that part. So simply we'll get these positions and return it, and now call the function, magnify function that we have defined. So that was it. Close the tags and move on. So this was the whole code. Now moving on to the output. So in the output, as you can see, we're simply moving the mouse. There's a lens created, the circle lens, and whatever part we move the mouse on is highlighted, is zoomed in within the lens. So you could see how cool it looks, how useful it is, and you could always embed it in your websites. And you might have seen this function in like online selling websites and these kind of stuff. So this was the project for this time around. So that was it for today. Do look out for my new videos, and I'll see you again. Goodbye until then.